this idea: the least scalable way to take more listings as a real estate agent. Many agents, myself included, we try to scale something before we even have proof of concept. We try to scale before we even know something will actually work. This is fed by a lot of marketing, a lot of stuff that we see in our feeds, a lot of people that looking at us as an audience as well, I mean, they make a lot of money every time they sell a house. All of us on here, I think, would readily admit that we have spent money on things because we were promised a big, bold, shiny object. And the reality is either it didn't work or you didn't do the work to make it work. So what does that mean in practice, in practicality? Let's rock and roll. I'm going to start off with something I saw. Well, I love this for a number of reasons, and it perfectly ties into the topic today that I want to talk about, which is the least scalable way for you to take more listings as a real estate agent. So the lie is work smarter, not harder. The reality is first you work hard to learn what smart looks like. And I'll add my own take. First you work hard to figure out what will actually work. You know that the smart work is work that will work. And I know that's a lot of words here, but what I mean by that is, and I'm going to do a deeper dive a little bit later in the Closers Cafe on this, is many agents, myself included, we want to skip to like the automated easy button way to take more listings or close more transactions. And we skip over the part or the piece of actually figuring out what will work for me in my market right now, like in the current market conditions in my current market. And that lie is fed by a lot of marketing and advertising that we see in our, on our Facebook feeds and our Instagram feeds, etc. And the reality is it takes hard work to figure out what works before you can figure out how to work smarter, not harder. And the reality is most really successful people, they work both smart and hard. That's the reality for most folks. So I'm going to do a deeper dive on that in a minute. However, I want to share a couple of updates that are relevant to my fellow EXPers who are in the room here, my EXP organization, anyone thinking about EXP, etc., or anyone using BoldTrail. I wanted to share two updates that I think are important and relevant for those of you who are BoldTrail users, or you're thinking about EXP, or you have groups at EXP who use BoldTrail, etc. Two updates or upgrades that have been released recently. I've literally been asking for both of these things for years, and it finally has happened. You can now see statistics for your mass emails. So if you send a mass email, which is how I send my deal of the week email, you can finally actually see some statistics, your open rates, your clicks, responses, etc. And it's right under the, well, in a minute, I'm going to share these two updates and then I'll go show what that actually looks like. So I'll show an example of this, but it will tell you how many were sent, how many were delivered, the unique opens, the unique clicks, and the responded as well. That's number one. Number two, this is a big one. If you are a BoldTrail user and you haven't done this yet, you need to download BoldTrail Streams, which is their new app. It is a drastic improvement to the previous app on your phone. There is an Apple Store version and a Google Store version. If you're currently using it, you should have an email about the new app, and this little video preview in that email will give you an idea of what those improvements are. But the long and the short of it is this. It just works way better. So it is just way more user-friendly. It makes it easier to find what you should be actually doing, who you need to reach out to, who you need to follow up with, etc. It's just way more streamlined. There's a lot less, clutter, let's say. It's really, really good. It's a huge, huge improvement. So go download that and log in, get that update. It just looks like this. It's just a big S. It's BoldTrail Streams. And then I'll show real quick. Well, the old one is still live, but I've deleted the old one. You can still use the old one. It still works, but I've deleted it. I'm just using streams, because most of the stuff, at least what I've found thus far, is most of the stuff that I can't do on streams, I wouldn't want to do on streams anyway. I'd more likely want to do it on my desktop. For the meantime, if you want to keep both of them, not a big deal. Yeah, I think eventually they'll phase the old one out. And then if you want to check your email stats, you go to marketing, scheduled mass emails. This is specifically for scheduled mass emails. So you're scheduling it out to send one to many. For me, most frequently, that is my deal of the week email. It will tell you the unique opens, the clicks, the replies, etc. And if I'm being very honest and transparent, my stats on that suck. When you look at how many I'm sending versus how many are opening and replying, but at least now I know what that looks like, and I can work on testing and trying things to improve it versus flying blind. Here was one that was sent to a smaller segment. This was specifically an email that I sent to just the property owners. In other words, people in BoldTrail that I had their email and their primary address. And this had an almost 20% open rate and a lot more responses. So interesting to note one way or the other. So now I want to take a minute and talk about this idea, the least scalable way to take more listings as a real estate agent. And why would I talk about that? Why would I intentionally talk about the least scalable way to take more listings? Because many agents, myself included, we try to scale something before we even have proof of concept. We try to scale before we even know something will actually work, before we actually have proof that it will generate what I need and want in my business, which is more conversations that lead to more contracts and therefore more closings. This is fed by a lot of marketing, a lot of stuff that we see in our feeds, a lot of people that looking at us as an audience as well. I mean, they make a lot of money every time they sell a house. So why would I not try to to sell them or offer them a service or something along those lines? All of us on here, I think, would readily admit that we have spent money on things because we were promised a big, bold, shiny object. And the reality is either it didn't work or you didn't do the work to make it work. So what does that mean in practice, in practicality? It means actually manually doing the work to identify, does this work to the degree, or does this actually get me closer to my goal? And I'm kind of talking theoretically, so I want to give two very tangible, specific examples. Number one, each month I run a campaign to all of the homeowners in my database. In other words, at a minimum, I have their email address and their property address. I send out a one-to-many email with the intent to get them to open the email and click the link in the email. It's offering them an updated home value for their property, an updated home value for their property. The email has one intent, one goal, to get them to open it and click over to look at their home value. The campaign includes a text message. If I have a working cell phone number that is still subscribed, I will send that text message to get more of them to go and look and find the email and open it and click it, etc. And I had been using that little two-step campaign for months with minimal results. I would get people to look, but it wasn't turning into actual business, actual contracts for me. And then I'm trying to think timing-wise when I started doing this. I'm going to say last January, I realized I was relying too heavily on just the automation piece, like just assuming that if I did that work, people would just, naturally come to me and basically ask me to list their property. So I added in the third step. This has become the money step, which is to send an email to all of the people that clicked and looked at their updated home value, strategically designed to keep the conversation going, to uncover whether or not there is a contract opportunity. And the first time I did that, I manually sent that third step to every one of the people that looked at their dashboard. I manually sent it, which seems, oh my gosh, that's overwhelming, because I had 120 that I had to manually send that to. I manually sent 120 emails. And also, here's the reality. Number one, it didn't actually take that long. It didn't actually take that long. I had a predetermined script or template, and I literally just was, clicking away. It was under an hour to send all of those. For the first time in my experience of doing the first two steps, it specifically turned into contracts for me. And I did that way for months. In other words, I would send the one-to-many email, I would send the one-to-many text, and the third step I would manually send, one-to-one, all of those, until the point that I knew I had a predictable, repeatable process that got me more conversations, more closing, or more contracts and more closings. And now I have pivoted that even the third step in that process, I can do one-to-many. In other words, I've set up the system so that I can do that. Here's what I am confident of. If I had immediately gone to that without actually figuring out what works as that third step and what is the least scalable version of that is effective at getting that, who knows, right? I could have assumed that didn't work and, keep chasing another shiny object. That's one version, one example. Let me give you another. It's actually the inspiration behind Lead Deck. Lead Deck we built in part because I had this Frankenstein together process that was working, but it was or became unscalable for me and definitely not duplicatable and scalable for others, because I had all these pieces and all these steps, and my co-founder Sean and I, we would get together. We still do, not as often as I would like. We get together for coffee and brainstorm and mastermind, etc. By the way, you Founders Club members, we did that on Friday. We have some fire updates and things to bring you tomorrow on our Founders Club mastermind. Like really good stuff. Some simple things, but really, really good. Anyway, we were getting together last summer. He's asking me what's working in my business, and I explained this Frankenstein together process where I get this big bucket of data, and then I skip trace the data, and then I scrub the data, and then I export it, and I reorganize and reformat the data, and then I import it into this outreach tool, and then I scrub it 2 more times, and then I drip out messages to hope that if I start with 1,000 property owners, I get 2, 3, 4 that engage or respond or reply. And it was working to a certain degree. I was doing more deals, but it was just like, how does this scale? And how do I duplicate it? And so that was the inspiration behind Lead Deck. However, if I had not gone through the pain of figuring out that Frankenstein together process and what would actually work to some level, we would have never figured out how to actually turn this into something that is way more efficient and effective to use and will get you many more conversations, contracts, and closings from less data and less time and less steps and less headaches, technology overwhelm, etc. Would have never figured that out if I hadn't figured out what's the least scalable way for me to do this. For me to take a cold, not in my sphere of influence, not past client, etc., property owner in my market and get them from cold to warm, engaged, to contract, to closing. I figured out the least scalable way first, and then it just so happens that inspired and continues to inspire Lead Deck and what the enhancements that we're making and adding on a regular basis. So I would encourage you, here's my call to action for you. Spend some time this week identifying where in my business do I need to take a step back and figure out an activity or something that I'm doing where I am relying on automation, where I need to figure out what is actually effective in the least scalable way first before I layer that on. Let me give you 2 or 3 more ideas of where this might be showing up. If you're using some AI service or whatever to automate posts on your social media, the reality is for most of you, it's not actually effective for you. It's better than nothing, but if you took the time to figure out what will actually get you more views, more engagement, more comments, more DMs, etc., if you unpack what will get more of that for you in the least scalable way, then you can use AI and AI tools to turn that into a more scalable version, a more automated version. That's number 1. Number 2, I would say in your in your email practices, this would be interesting. In the comments, in the chat, okay, in the chat. And if you're watching on TikTok, you can come join our school community. It's in the profile. If you're watching one of the others, it's in the description. You can come to the school community and engage with us. In the chat, let me know approximately how many unconverted leads do you have in your CRM? Approximately unconverted leads in your CRM, because I'm doing this to make a point. 1,000, David. Okay, thank you. Keep it coming, folks. Keep it coming. 192, Mark says. 400, David. 1,000 plus, Stuart. Come on, a couple more, folks. 655, thousands, probably 2,500. Okay, so here's another way or another variation this might look. The least scalable version. I'm gonna say Mark. So Mark has 192. One way, one example of what this might look like this week for Mark is instead of sending his deal of the week email to all 192 at one time, I'm going to challenge him to send it one at a time through his actual email client to figure out what will actually work and what the least scalable version of that looks like, so that it can then be scaled. That is inspired by the fact that I see it week in, week out, the way we've built Lead Deck to push cold emails with a couple of taps while logged in from your phone to send cold emails. I get anywhere from a 10 to 20 to sometimes 30% or higher reply or response rate to cold email, because the way we've set it up is one-to-one from an actual Gmail account. And I know that James is in the same boat as me. So if you send 5,200 emails through BoldTrail, you will get some replies and you will get some conversations and uncover some opportunities for contracts and therefore closings. But I also know if James sent 100 one-to-one emails each day for 52 days, he will get drastically more responses, replies, and conversations. So then it's how do we marry the two? And I'm not saying I have the answer to all of that. I'm saying for many of you, it will be eye-opening to see what that looks like, and then to determine, okay, what do I do with that information? How do I take knowing this? How do I marry the two ideas? The scalability of this versus the least scalable version of what will work, and then finding that happy medium. But it's hard to know what the happy medium is if you don't know what is the delta. What am I not getting by doing it this easy button scalable way versus the least scalable version? I don't know if this made any sense or was helpful at all, but it was on my brain and on my heart, and I wanted to share it. And so we can open it up for questions or feedback or clarifications.
Well, in a way, Josh, it's kind of like when I reach out to an expired or even an absentee landlord or whatever. I've got a letter open, a Word document right in front of me, and I put a letter in the mail. And I had a gentleman call me the other day. Lady called yesterday. We didn't get back in touch with her, but I got your letter, kind of thing. So it's slow, but it's quick and easy,
Yeah.
It's right there. Throw an envelope, throw a stamp on it.
And so what you're identifying is another piece of this puzzle is you're marrying least scalable with a good working workflow. Like you've figured out how to maximize. So there's effectiveness and efficiency. That's really the two things that we're talking about here. And most of us have no idea what's actually effective because we're doing one to many because it's easy and we've been sold this whatever. But we don't know what's actually effective. And then once we figure out by doing the unscalable to figure out what is effective, then you can figure out how, knowing what is effective now, what is the most efficient way that I can do this effective thing. And the very most efficient way for Stuart would be him not manually doing it, but him sending out using thanks.io or whatever to do that. And yet that may break what's actually being effective. It might, right? And then you have to figure out, okay, what do I want to continue with this more efficient version or less efficient version rather, or do I want to leverage a more efficient version and just know that I might have to do more to get the same result. And that's, if you've ever hired someone, that is the reality of hiring someone. if you hire someone to do a role in your business, they will never be as effective and efficient. Well, not never. It is hard to get someone to be as effective and efficient as you are, but you have to be okay with that if you want to grow your business at some point. Now, you may find the rock star who actually takes your processes, your SOP, and actually does improve and actually beats your results. But more often than not, you just have to create or be okay with the fact that it won't be quite as good as the way you might do it. But at some point, good enough is good enough. And this is the stuff that is hard about any business. Like, there's no getting over some of this stuff, that you actually have to slog through some of this hard work to figure out what will actually work in your market for you and given the current market conditions. Because as much as I sort of cringe when I hear, well, you don't understand, my market's different, there is reality to that. There's no getting over that. You just have to figure out in your market what that looks like. And then figure out, how can I scale this? What does scaling like this look like? And where might it break? And what am I okay with and what am I not okay with, as far as, as I scale, what those results may impact. It relates back to a rant I went on a couple months ago now. This is just a business owner thing. It's not a real estate agent thing. But not understanding ROI and more. And what I mean by that is, if you want to make 100,000 in GCI, you can do that. And you can probably, for many of you, you could do that and definitely do it and have a 10-to-1, 20-to-1, maybe 25-to-1, maybe even 50-to-1 ROI to do that. But if you want to do a million in GCI, it's really hard to keep that ROI ratio. And yet more is still more. More is still more, right? Like it doesn't, it's okay. And as business scales, as you scale businesses, they become less profitable, but more is still more. Like, if it costs you $250,000 to do 2.5 in GCI, but it costs you what would that be? $25,000 to do a million. Maybe I'm doing the wrong math. $25,000 to do 250,000 in GCI. Let's do it that way, right? Like, more is still more. Any other questions or comments on that before I pivot to some other work, and honestly, just doing some of the work?
Real quick, you're saying send emails directly from your Gmail, not from BoldTrail, or just do one.
I'm saying I'm saying an activity like that is worth testing so you understand and fully, so you can better understand what the least scalable version and those results look like. Because you may find that if you send the 192 all at once, you might once a month get 2 replies. But if you send 192 individually, you might get 20 replies. And this business is about more conversations so we can write more contracts and close more transactions. And so what do you do with that information if that works? Well, there are other ways that those emails can be sent besides you manually sending them one-to-one and you sending them with a scheduled mass email. Until you know what that delta is, meaning I know if I manually send 192, I get X replies, and if I send 192 all at once, I get Y replies. Until you understand that delta, you won't know, is it worth figuring out the less scalable version, or should I just... So the other piece of this is, what if I add a 0 to this? Instead of sending it to 192, what if I'm sending to 1920, right? Well, then it becomes, a new dilemma, a new problem to solve. So I was just using that as an example. I'm not even saying you absolutely should do that, but I think it would be eye-opening to you if you did, to see how many more replies and responses you would get done that way versus BoldTrail. And this isn't a knock on BoldTrail. This is any mass emailing platform, any of them. You will never get the same open and reply rate versus sending one-to-one. It's I mean, not with Go High Level, not with Lofty, not with Get Response, not with MailChimp, not with any of them, right? But you at some point you get to a point where you can't possibly do the less scalable version of that. Also, some of this comes down to the question, do I have more time or do I have more money? Do I have more time or do I have more money? If I have more money, I can spend that money to put more people in the bucket so that I can have more of those people in conversation. If I have more time, and I know that if I manually send out my deal of the week to all 192, and I do that every Wednesday morning, and I know that each time that I do that, I get X amount of response or replies, it might be something where I'm going to do this for a quarter, and it takes me 90 minutes every Wednesday morning, but I know that I get way more out of that existing audience than if I did it in the one-to-many version. I don't know if that was helpful, but it was just something that was on my mind, and I think is important for us to understand and to always also give us a lens to look through all of the marketing that we see in our feed. Because when things sound too good to be true, usually they are, right? Any model still requires work. It's a matter of what work are you going to do. I'm going to take a minute here to share something we are doing tomorrow. If you are in our Founders Club, you can come and participate at no cost. If you're not, we are going to be offering these. This is like the evolution of the sprints we've been doing. We want to create a way for people who aren't already using Lead Deck to experience the tool. And so we're doing something that we're calling the Lead Deck Listings Lab. And it's a live interactive experience where for 15 to 20 minutes, I will train and coach on scripting. 50 minutes, we will actually do the work together of logging in and tapping to more contacts and conversations. And then we'll regroup and debrief at the end and outline next best steps for folks. If you are not currently using Lead Deck, you can sign up. It's $100. And if you actually come and participate, you can get your money back, or you can credit it towards one of our licensing packages. It's totally up to you, but you can go to leaddeck.ai/lab, leaddeck.ai/lab. And I anticipate us doing these every week with few exceptions, and they will continue to be available to the current Founders Club members or Lead Deck licensees. And it's just a good way for folks to experience the app in real world experience, and not me explaining how cool it is or trying to demo it in a video. So you can check that out if interested, and we'd love to have you. We have a couple of folks signed up thus far for tomorrow, and we'd love to have a Zoom room full of folks for that. And for Founders Club members, all right, the rest of the time here, I'm going to spend I'm going to be using Lead Deck to do some outreach. I met with a client on Friday he's part of a larger group, and they have a number of multifamily properties. And I will likely be listing at least 2 of them in the next, maybe as soon as this week. But they have 4 or 5 others they eventually want to list, but are absolutely open to selling them off market without, actively listing them in the MLS. I'm going to take one of them and walk through my plan for ringing a buyer before we even go live, and also in that work, uncovering more opportunity as well. And multiple prongs to this. Number one, I'm going to use Lead Deck to find the active buyers in that zip code, and I will do outreach. Number two, I am going to, in my MLS, go and find buyers agents who sold similar properties in the last 90 to 180 days to see if their clients are looking to add to their portfolio. I mean, why not? Specifically, when I've got a property where that scenario would be a likely investor who might be looking to add to their portfolio. Like, that strategy doesn't make sense if I'm sending or if I'm selling if I'm selling a property in my neighborhood. In that case, I will just do the reverse prospecting once we actually have it coming soon or we're actively live on the market, right? This is specifically an opportunity with this type of property. And I think this is relevant. Number one, if I've got a property that the comparable sales would include investors buying them as rentals, which obviously multifamily properties, that's, there might be exceptions where the buyer bought it and they're going to live in one of the units, but whatever. That's an example. And also vacant land is a great example of this, because if you've got a parcel of vacant land, those buyer agents that brought them, they may be developers or people that they're just acquiring land to hold, right? So I think that's a great strategy to implement in those scenarios. I'm going to start with lead deck, and I'm going to go to buyers, and I'm going to start with, this is the one that we're most likely to list the soonest. This doesn't make any sense to me. The 0 multifamily. I'm going to have Sean take another look at this, because I know that there are multifamily properties selling in this zip code. And so it tells me something. We still need to make improvements to the way that we're mapping the data. But regardless, it's easy enough for me to call these other 24, and I'm going to call all of them because I have an off-market asset that would be of interest. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to create that target and put it back in here. Go active landlord, create that target. And I can run both of these. So I'm going to run both of these. And while these are running, I'm going to pull up my MLS, show you what that will look like as well. That one ran. Oh, it's only running 10 at a time. That makes sense. All right. Well, that's working. I'm going to go over here, and I'm searching multifamily, and I'm going to search 17102. And I don't care about the active or coming soon. I want the pending and the closed. Oh, I was like, I did this. I did this work to make sure that there were results. What did I do wrong? I put the zip code in the city, in the postal city, not in the zip code. That's why it was saying 0. So there are 11. There are 11. 11 that 3 are pending, and 8 are closed. So I'm going to, all this will look like is as follows. And this doesn't have to be, I'm going to skip Wendell, only because that's cheating. I've known Wendell and I've known Wendell for 20 years, and he and I are partners in transactions. Oh, look at Wendell. He's killing it. I'm trying to find one where I don't already know the agent. There we go, Michael. I do actually know him, but not like I know Wendell. So let me call Michael. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The selling agent was Damaris. The listing agent was Michael. Maybe I was looking at that wrong. Geez, let me go back through these. I think Wendell was the listing agent on all of these. I want the selling agent. Well, he was the listing agent and the selling agent on that one and that one and that one. Okay, so I could have just skipped those. But Damaris, let's talk to Damaris. Damaris, good morning. It's Josh Schoenly with eXp Realty. How are you? Yeah. Okay. Totally. Yeah. I absolutely. In fact, I have that saved in my notes in my phone with your information. However, that is not why I was calling. Yeah. So I was calling because it looks like you sold a multi-family property in Midtown end of year, maybe. Is that client looking for any other multis in that area? Okay, so I have one that I will likely be listing, if not this week, next week. But they're open to selling it before we go on market. They're gonna ask 250, but negotiable. Yeah, I'll send you the address when I hang up. Awesome. Thank you, Damaris. I appreciate it. Perfect. Oh, and those the other client that you were calling about, like, are they looking anywhere in Central PA or like a specific county or a specific? Okay, Dauphin, Cumberland. Okay, beautiful. I have a couple of parcels in northern Dauphin County, one of which could be perfect for this. It's like 3 acres. It's on it's got like a little creek. Forget what creek it is. I think the zoning would allow it. I'm just making notes to myself so I don't forget. I'll get you that info on that one too. Thanks, Damaris. Bye-bye. As I called her, so I have her saved, but she'd been texting me about a listing of mine. And for whatever reason, I didn't ask her what her name is. But I put in the notes what our conversation was and what she was looking for. So when I called, I hand pecked in the numbers and then I called and it says agent looking for for wooded land for small RV park. So I was like, oh, I know who I'm calling now. I just didn't have the name. So now I've saved it and added it there. And I need to send her the address of this. So not a bad first crack at it. We'll see what happens. I'll get you info on the parcel of land that I mentioned. Okay. So I'm going to do one or two more of these, and then I'm going to do one or two more in lead deck, just because I want to provide context on a couple of different things, and then I'll share the last. So I have 3 things that I'm going to do in order to find the actual buyer for one of these, and there will be multiple of them. And then B, also, regardless of whether or not I find the actual potential buyer, create more contract opportunities, client opportunities, etc. Now, going right to, you know what I should have done? I should have asked her if she's got anything off market that would be good for an investor. Should have asked her that too, but well, sometimes. Daryl, hey, this is Josh Schoenly with eXp Realty. It looks like you represented a buyer on a multifamily property in Midtown Harrisburg area towards the end of last year, and I was curious if that client is looking for any other multifamily properties in that area. I've got one that we will likely be maybe as soon as this week, maybe not until next week. But if that client might be interested, just shoot me a text message and I can get you the address and info that I have at this point. And if not, no worries. Thanks, Daryl. Hey, Daryl, this is Josh with eXp Realty. Just left you a voicemail about a 3-unit we have that will be available soon in Midtown Harrisburg. Looks like you sold one in that area late last year, and I was just curious if that client might be looking for more, ? As I'm doing this, Ed sent me a warm lead. My guy Ed. Hello, this is Josh. I don't know what was going on there. It was a real call, but they were confused or something. All right. Any questions about that outreach before I pivot to the actual direct buyer outreach? So let me look here. I'm going to run the rest of these because I want all of them. And then I gotta tweak my buyer outreach script. Then I'll log into Lead Deck and get to tapping. There we go. So I'm going to go profile, scripts, buyer outbound. All I'm doing is changing the area. So hey, first name, this is Josh with eXp Realty. Looks like you're a pretty active multifamily investor in the Midtown Harrisburg any area, looking for any deals right now or know anyone who might be, question mark. Email off market multi family property in Midtown. So the principle here is making it as specific and relevant as possible without like going too granular, right? So Midtown Harrisburg is a specific part of Harrisburg. There's downtown, there's Midtown, there's uptown, there's Allison Hill, and there might be one or two other areas, right? And people that buy in that area know what I'm talking about. Like they'll know what I mean. If not, if that weren't the case, I would just be saying Harrisburg area, and I would probably reference the specific zip code because Harrisburg, this is in the city proper, and you know it varies greatly zip code to zip code what demographics, price ranges, etc. So looks like you're we've got an off market multifamily by the governor's mansion that we will likely be listing very soon. Interested or know anybody who might be, let me know either way. I'm going to save those and then stop the screen share and pop over to my phone. Calling the targets that I'm about to reach out to, it's hard to get 3 no's. It's hard to get, no, I'm not interested in this one. No, I'm not interested in anything. And no, I don't have something that I would consider selling right now. It's possible, but very likely they're looking to do something. So I've got mobile number DNC, landline. I'm guessing it's not active, but I'm going to try. Didn't connect, but I would say very likely the right email. Person's name at comcast.net. Go to the next one. 9 properties, $4 million in value, 2.4 in equity is this one. The best number, it's got 2 landlines. It's a local-ish number. Yeah, I was trying to reach Adam. Okay, so yeah. All right, I appreciate it. Bye-bye. It seemed to be a work number or like a business line of some kind. It seemed like they knew Adam, but English wasn't solid. So I enhanced it. Now I've got 2 mobile numbers that are not on the DNC. So we'll see. Yeah, hi, I'm trying to reach Adam. Wrong number. Sorry. These are probably tenants of Adam's, if I had to guess. But I'm going to keep trying. Yeah, hi, I'm trying to reach Adam. This is Josh Schoenly with eXp Realty. Different number. Do you have a number for Adam by chance? It's nothing bad. I'm just trying to reach out to him or reach him about a 3 unit we have available in Midtown Harrisburg. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Super helpful. Bye-bye. She went from, you should be able to find it. It should be pretty easy. And then she just gave me the number. So let's see if I can grab him. Yeah. Hey, is this Adam? Adam, hey, this is Josh Schoenly with eXp Realty. How are you this morning? I was calling because it looks like you are a pretty active investor in Midtown Harrisburg area. Is that right? We've got a 3 unit coming up that I'll likely be listing later this week, maybe next week. But they are open to offers in the interim, and so I was just calling to see if that is something that you might have any interest in taking a look at. I'm sorry, say that again. Okay, so are you mostly looking for turnkey already occupied? This one is vacant and is a project. Yeah, gotcha. It's great location. It's not in great shape. I mean, it depends on, what to what degree you want it, you want to update it. Sure. Would you be totally opposed to me sending you some info on it and you check it out and let me know either way? Text it, email it. What would you prefer? Email? What's the best email for you? I don't, unless yeah, I don't. STADAMPM. Got it. Got it. I'll get you some info this morning, and either way, whatever you think on it, just let me know, and I'll certainly keep you in mind on anything else in that area as well. Is that the main area that you focus on in Harrisburg? Or okay, and you prefer multis? Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, I got you. I got you. Well, I appreciate you taking my call. I'm going to shoot you a text with my contact info, and I will email you info on this one later this morning. Awesome. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it. Bye. So that this is going to be a perfect one for me to end on because that was an example of pulling the thread. I had two landlines, neither of which were the right person. I enhanced it. Two mobile numbers, neither of which the right person. And just by being curious, and I mean, the only thing I said was, it's nothing bad. I'm just trying to reach him about a 3-unit in Midtown, right? I got his phone number. He didn't even want to give me his real email at first for some reason. I don't know why, but then he gave me his real email, which is different. It's different than the one in Lead Deck, but it's similar for whatever that's worth. I don't know why. And then, I mean, he's looking for shopping centers, multifamily. He gave me a bunch of different areas. Like, this is the kind of person that me personally, I like working with. They will be decisive, and they will, like, I can potentially do, if I do my job, I might do 3, 4, 5 deals with him, maybe this year, but maybe over the next 5 years, who knows? And also, several of the other properties that I have with this same client would fit the buy box that he described to me, at least loosely. So that was well worth that conversation. So what do I do next? Here's where I'll wrap this up and then do some housekeeping. So I now have his good working cell phone. What am I going to do now? I'm going to add him as a contact. One of the real estate agent that I left a voicemail on, he just texted me back. So that is a plus as well. Okay, so multifamily investor, Central PA, Midtown Harrisburg, Mechanicsburg, Hershey, small shopping centers. Add that. I'm going to add his email to this, to the contact card as well. So I have that saved. Now I'm going to share my contact card with him. So he has that as well. Thanks for taking my call. Period. I'll get you info on the one I was referencing in Midtown. I have a few others that, based upon what you shared, may also be of interest. So I'll send you some info on those as well. And then I just need to close the loop. So what I need to do is, let me think here. I think I made 4 contacts. I contacted 2 realtors, spoke with one, the other one replied. I tried 2, or did I try 1 buyer? I don't even know. 1 or 2 buyers. Oh no, 2. I couldn't get Joshua, but I got Adam. And I got Adam's good contact info. And I didn't even ask him if he's got anything in his portfolio that he would consider selling, but I will now that I've connected with him, and I'll do that as part of my follow-up. Ed has sent me 2 warm leads already. It's barely 10 a.m. On a Monday morning. Ed's getting after it early. Okay. Housekeeping items as we wrap up. Tomorrow we have the Lead Deck Listings Lab for anybody who is not currently a Lead Deck licensee or Founders Club member. You can come check it out. It's $100. You can win your money back and either get it refunded or credited towards one of our licensing packages. Just go to leaddeck.ai/lab. For founders, we've got 2 great enhancements that we're going to share with you on our mastermind tomorrow at 1 Eastern, and a use case with one of the features that have been in there that I hadn't even connected the dots on, that came from Sean and I sitting down in person on Friday, which I'm excited to share with all of you. Wednesday, we'll have our live prospecting session. It will likely revolve for me around these off-market multis that I've got and doing more of that work using Lead Deck. And barring travel schedule for the Schoenlys, we'll have our live demo and Q&A on Thursday. Might be traveling. I don't know just yet. In the meantime, I hope you all get after it here on a Monday. Set yourself up for success for the week. If we win the morning, we win the day. If we win Monday, we win the week. And this is both the end of a month and the start of a new month this month. So close it out strong and set yourself up to have an incredible April. I don't know. I hope this is an indicator of things to come. I totally forgot to share one of my listings under contract Friday. I thought this thing would have sold a month ago, but better now than never, I suppose. And so I hope that starts a domino. And I've got more of mine. I think that leaves 9 active, and I've got another 2 to 6 potentially with this client coming. So you guys know how to reach me if you need help, and let's make it a great week.